everybody, and welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned. We're here with Shelly Nelson from Restyled Spaces today, and we're going to continue our conversation because she's been talking about some amazing things about home staging and prepping homes for sale. We covered a little bit about neurosciences and about the psychology of staging a home, which is all great information. Now we're going to talk about some things. I understand there are a couple different staging ways of doing types of staging, I guess you would say. So tell us about the different types of staging.
Okay, so of course we have what's called occupied staging and we have vacant staging. So let's talk about vacant staging later because I feel like those are kind of, those actually are a lot easier than the occupied stagings are, believe it or not. But,
agreed.
So occupied, and I'll just explain kind of our process that we use. Linda has a tried and true program here where we meet at the house. She has her painters or handyman, you know, I'm there, she's there. We're walking through the entire home. I start out in the driveway talking about curb appeal. Mm-hmm. I like to look at the whole entire house from top, you know, all the way down to, you know, the concrete. Mm-hmm. See what type of things that we need, what do we need for curb appeal. Then once we move into the house, we want to go in there and, you know, look at bathrooms. You know, we look at the grout, make sure that, you know, we don't need more grout in the tubs or caulking or, you know, anything like that. We go through closets, pantries, how to get the best look for those. Walking into the home, there's a lot of things behind the science of why things feel the way that they do. And I won't bore you with all of the details, but obviously when someone walks into your home, you want it to feel very inviting. People don't understand why when they walk in the door that they feel that connection and that emotional attachment, but that's what you want them to have because that makes them want to come and sit down and relax. And that's why a lot of times, you'll hear us say that we need to remove a lot of the personal items. I always tell people, listen, when you go to someone's house, you know how when you're like kind of walking around and you want to be very cautious and very careful and get in and get out because, you know, this is someone else's home, right?
Right.
So I always tell people, what you want to do is take all of your personal stuff out of this home so that when people come in, you want them to sit down. You want them to really visualize, okay, I can see my family in this dining room on Thanksgiving. I could see, you know, us sitting around here drinking wine, watching the sunset, like whatever. You want to give that to them. That's their lifestyle. That's what you're selling. You're selling their lifestyle, and that's what we're trying to show when we're doing occupied. So where we talked about before about how something being decorated as opposed to staged, this is what I'm talking about.
Right.
There's some people that are just, nope, this is the way I want my bed to face no matter what. Well, then you walk in and it doesn't make any sense. So if you just trust your stager, I'm in, you know, you're in a lot of homes, right? Think about how many that I'm in every single week as well. So I've been doing this for 9 years now, and I've seen a lot of homes in every different aspect. So there's a lot of things that we see that others don't. You know, sometimes it's as much as a chandelier that has those little shades on them. Remember we had a house that was like that and we couldn't figure out like, man, I hate this chandelier. Well, what did we do? We just took the tops off, the little shades off all of them, and then boom, look how much larger this dining room is. So it's like little silly things like that, but that's the stuff that makes the difference. That's what makes people feel good when they come into the home, and that's where we like to sprinkle our magic because that's the fun part for us.
Yeah, what you just said, it's the little tiny things that make a big difference. A lot of times I hear sellers say, oh, can't they look past that? Or that doesn't make a big difference. I have found that we have done something to the point where we've changed out a chandelier. You took covers off of a chandelier. It's trust the process. And what I say is let go and let Linda. And that's when I'm going to, when I'm getting ready to list a house. If you let go and let me do what I do, we houses sell faster.
Yeah.
They really do. And you know, it's not because we're lowering the dollar on it. It's because it's more appealing. And that's part of what the process is, from me walking in by myself, me walking in with Shelly, me walking with my handy people. It's really, really important. So we just talked about the occupied ones. Now, I will tell you, we'll both tell you this. Our favorite is going to be the unoccupied because we get to walk in with the magic wand and
Make it however we want.
I want to make that noise.
I know.
Kind of a thing. So tell us more about the unoccupied or the vacant staging.
Okay, so for vacant staging, obviously, that's where we really can control what's going on because we can control the buyer's eye all the way. It's all our furniture. So when we come into stage, we try to make every room like flow into the other. So like we take artwork and make it match throughout the whole entire home. So it just makes things feel good. You know, a lot of times when you walk into a home with just the blank walls, it just doesn't do anything with your emotion. And let's face it, people buy, especially women, we buy on emotion.
Yes.
That feeling that we get when we walk into the house. And that's why I always tell people there's so many times when they're like, well, you know what, let's just get the pictures taken. And this is my biggest pet peeve.
I know what you're going to say.
I'm sorry. If your realtor is ever telling you, let's just get photographs and then we'll take care of the other stuff, call somebody else.
Right, and that's a true statement because I've actually come in after somebody else has had a listing, and I'm like, okay, so here's what we need to do. We remove everything or move things around, paint a wall even, and do maybe even some curb appeal. By the way, we didn't touch on that piece, but curb appeal is so important because people who are buyers, they do drive-bys. Now, don't think you're coming by with a machete or a machine gun or anything like that. They're doing drive-bys, and they're not only coming by in the day, they're coming by in the evening.
Absolutely.
So even, you know, it's important if you don't have power outside, get the solar lights for outside. So
let's talk more about that one.
Go ahead.
In the next segment.
Sure, we can do that. So before we take our break, I wanted to ask you a question. What is the process really like? So say a real estate agent or a seller contacts you, ring, 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 hey, Shelly, I want you to come stage my home. Walk us through the process of what you do.
Okay, so usually at that point we get, you know, the client's name, the address, lockbox code, so that we can go take a look and get our eyes on the house, right? That's most important. And then from there, we go back to the warehouse, sit together as a team, figure out exactly what inventory that we'll need for this home, what kind of artwork, colors, things like that. And then we start the process of pulling things aside in the warehouse that we know that we need for this particular home. We go through, you know, get the quote together, send that to the client, letting them know what we would be bringing. Once they say okay, then we set the time. So we decide, you know, how soon is the house going to be ready? And then my team comes that morning, we stage, it takes us just a couple of hours and we're ready for photos. Photos can be done a lot of times on the same exact day.
I do my photos on the same day. They stage, photos happen.
I like it that way because that way we can have all the lights on, have everything ready for the photographer.
And Bob likes it that way too. So
Yes.
you're going to hang out with me for a little bit longer. We're going to take a little break. All right, guys, we're going to take a little bit of a break here and we'll be back shortly. So see you in a few minutes.